We're back. We're back after a break. Welcome to episode 6. Episode 6? Yes, episode 6 of the Let's Start a Cult podcast. I'm Kevin Feasy. This is...
my name's Matt. Hello, nice to see you. Matt Stevens.
That's the one.
Playing the Fierce and the Dead. Hello, you all right?
Yeah, we're all good. We're all good. Okay, what have you been up to, Matt?
I'm trying to program an Eventide H9 effects unit to replace all my guitar pedals, which is the most... I even went as far as I got the manual out today.
Wow.
Which is unheard of with me.
That's pretty scary stuff.
I actually had to look at the manual, and but I think if I can set it up based on one that's modulations and stuff, and the other one that's delays and stuff. So yeah, it should be quite good. But all these things are good until something goes wrong or someone spills a pint of beer on them, aren't they?
Yeah, modern equipment. We've had this conversation quite a lot. Obviously, you know, a lot of the gigs we were supposed to be doing this year, and hopefully carrying on doing next year. It looks like we're going to be sort of, you know, maybe having to travel a little bit lighter, aren't we? And the temptation is always there to go the technology route. You know, get computers involved, get your, you know, Kempers and all that. But it's just that thing of having everything in one place that you only need like something to go wrong and the whole thing's gone, you know, down. At least with an amp, you can just say, can somebody lend me an amp? And here's a distortion pedal and, you know, away you go. But, yeah, I think our sounds are becoming more complicated as well, aren't they? So, you know, it's not as easy as that.
One of the issues you've got is with the Fierce and the Dead, because we haven't got a singer. A lot of the time, the instruments have to have, a lot of time they'll have an effect on them, or there'll be something that makes them remarkable to take the place of a vocal. So this is why the effects setups have got increasingly more complex, haven't they? Yes,
yeah. You know, I mean, swings and roundabouts, Matt, innit? Swings and roundabouts. You know, you got to keep ourselves interested as well as the audience. You know, new sounds and everything.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean, we're always trying to do new things with it as well.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, that's actually one of the things I've been doing the last couple of weeks. We've been experimenting with how we can carry on writing remotely, which even after all of this, you know, after the event is hopefully done and dusted, it will give us, you know, it's kind of in a way, it's given us a kick at the backside to try and work this out. So rather than us having to rely on getting it all in the same room at the same time, which, you know, with the best will in the world is quite complicated with everybody's family lives and different locations and stuff. But if we can work this out. So one thing we did this week was we organised Stuart now has the ability to record MIDI drums at home.
Yeah, so we can demo stuff.
Just a terrifying concept, really.
But that means we can create full demos, doesn't it?
Exactly,
cool.
Exactly. Yeah, it's very cool. But yeah, we was Stuart's tech support getting him set up with all that. So, and we've been playing around with amp sims as well. Myself and young Matthew.
Yeah.
We're now big fans of the Brainworks stuff. The Friedman.
The Friedman amp. Yeah. So I've got really into that. I've worked out if I've got the Friedman amp, the two Eventide pedals, a fuzz pedal and a compressor, and a vibrato pedal, I can pretty much do everything I need to do sound-wise.
Which is great.
So that's really good, yeah. So, the other thing is that I need to, you know, it'll be a little bit more complicated live because I'll have to bring some more gear, but I was talking about gear. I don't know much people are interested in gear, but I mean, in terms of guitar stuff. But
everybody's interested in gear, Matt. Everybody's interested in gear.
Oh, we're all interested in gear. But just to try and create we've got every time we do a new record, half the battle is creating a new palette of sounds.
Yeah.
So that we're not doing the same stuff and people aren't bored of it. So each record we've changed things. So on Spooky Action, we're using capos. On the Euphoric, we use a lot of down tuning. And then, well, we'll talk about Magnet in a minute, won't we?
We will. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's a lot of the albums actually. It's funny you should say that because a lot of the albums have kind of often revolved around what equipment we've either just brought or just borrowed or just has been available. So, you know, a good example of that is the On VHS EP, which was your brief fling with the whammy pedal. You know, and that was all over that.
Yeah, until I wanted to throw it out of a window.
Yeah, exactly.
Because they don't work.
And for those people who've listened before, remember, kids, calibrate your whammy pedal. That's all we'll say on that one. Yeah. But yeah, it's different. There's so much technology out there that's, this thing with, like I say, we're probably boring people now, but the advent of the DSP chips in guitar pedals means there's some amazing stuff out there now that, you'd have had a chain of like 20 pedals and outboard processors and, all the old Eventide harmonizers and all those kind of things, the big chunky things. And, now you just get like a little pedal with a chip in it, and there's sounds there that are really, really go beyond your basic, distortion, delay, reverb, compression, whatever. They're really interesting things.
We're starting to learn how to stack pedals to get unique sounds as well.
Yeah, so, exactly.
And a lot of the time, it's not like we're trying to recreate Eddie Van Halen's 5150 sound. It's more that we're trying to recreate the Boards of Canada wobbly sounds and those sort of nostalgic broken VHS sounds that we're trying to create.
I'd say we are not tone purists, are we? We'll use whatever's around.
Couldn't care less. As long as it works. I mean, I'll use anything.
So on this episode, we've got to the point in the story where we are now about to release or about to record the Magnet EP. I don't have that much memory of how it all came about and what the plan was and, where it was in the... We'd done Spooky Action, that had gone well.
I did a solo album, didn't I?
Oh, yeah, you did. Was it Lucid?
Did Lucid, and then went out and did a load of gigs for that. And that sort of kept me busy quite a bit in 2014. But we were working on the material that became Magnet then, weren't we? So
yeah,
I remember that time we were sort of listening to things like remember that band Annihilation Time we were really into?
Oh yes,
Imaginary Mirror. And what was the other one? Because they were like the mixture of that sort of Sabbath meets US hardcore thing I really liked. And Death Heaven had come out with what was the one with the pink cover?
Sunbather?
Sunbather we were listening to all the time around that time.
Yeah.
And Pentagram as well, the Doom band. Relentless by Pentagram is a massive record for me.
Well, I think anybody that knows Relentless by Pentagram, then go and listen to Magnet. Magnet in Your Face. I think you might see some, that's what kind of where it came from. That kind of, I don't know, we kind of got very into that Chaps in a Room, just going for it really, didn't we? It got I don't know, I think the live show was starting to get a bit more refined. Yeah. Refine's the wrong word. A bit more confident, I think, is the right word. We was a bit more comfortable being messy, if that makes sense. So we was a bit more comfortable in our skin. I think Spooky Action, as we said before, you could possibly say we were trying a little too hard. I think Magnet was a bit of a recalibration back to things that we really were interested in.
Spooky was very much. We had to sort of. There was a lot of influence from bands like Cleft and there was Knife World and we played with Cardiacs and those sort of things. It was quite prog, wasn't it? Really?
Yeah, it was.
Math rock and like elements of psychedelia as well. We went back to a lot of our the stoner rock stuff we liked when we were kids, like Relentless by Pentagram. We really got in that Imaginary Mirror by Annihilation Time.
Ah, amazing track. Go out and check it out. The band's Annihilation Time. I think it's still available on Bandcamp. It's probably on Spotify and stuff. There's a track called Imaginary Mirror. Because
they were never a really popular band, but
no, not at all.
I think I found them on a blog or something, and they were just. So this track was just mind blowing. Oh, the whole album's really good, actually.
Yeah.
But it's got that mixture of American punk and like a stoner rock as well. So because a lot of stoner rock's really generic and dull.
Yes.
Whereas this has got real passion to it and real incredibly powerful playing.
One of the big influences that we've never really talked about for The Fierce and the Dead is Soundgarden.
Yeah.
And I think they're a really good example of a band. We've followed a reasonably similar, musical trajectory, I think, in that, they started out quite punky and, and retained all that. And I think even the later polished albums, you could hear they were coming from this quite sort of, underground, punky, noisy kind of background. Kim Thayil's amazing, Yeah,
Soundgarden were a band that was quite big for all of us, weren't they?
Yeah.
Especially sort of rhythmically and And also they were the band that used the drop B tuning that we used a lot later on as well. So they used a lot of those drop tunings and a lot of those quite interesting guitar sounds as well. They're really ahead of it. Obviously, they got it from the Melvins and Sabbath as well. But Soundgarden are a really big band for all of us. Yeah,
definitely. And I guess what we're trying to say is this EP, as we said, was kind of us maybe refocusing a little bit on some of our older influences, which ironically were things that were coming kind of back around at that time. So what was the first track we wrote for this EP? And can you remind me, Matt, did we have the intention of recording songs for an EP? Or was it just that we've got these songs together and we're going to do an EP now?
When we did Spooky Action, we did a load of gigs after that. But then we suddenly started getting these sort of festival offers. So we got offered Arc Tangent and Summer's End.
That's right, yeah.
Which were two festivals we'd always wanted to play.
Yes.
Because in terms of sort of niche math rock, Arc Tangent is the sort of, where... who headlined Arc Tangent that year, Kev?
That was Dillinger Escape Plan, I think, with a big band that year, weren't they?
And then we played Summer's End, which is the sort of prog rock sort of underground festival that's quite of note.
Yes.
And they're both really nice dudes and that, and it was really cool things to play. But I think we wanted to get something out to time with us playing those two festivals in the summer, wasn't it?
Yeah, you're right.
We only had those two songs, so we were going to get an EP out. It was a bit like, well, we've got this. Let's get these two songs out. And then we wanted to re-record a few bits as well. Why did we decide to record those, Kev?
My recollection is that, I can't remember which was the first one, but I'm pretty sure Magnet came first. Maybe it was Palm Trees. I can't remember, but I'm pretty sure it was Magnet was written first, which is like 2.5 minutes long.
Yes, I think we'd gone down the route of gone a bit prog, hadn't we? A bit too much down the road of odd timings and stuff. And I think we wanted to do something that was a little bit more direct and bashing people around the head. And after listening to Annihilation Time and that sort of thing, we just wanted to do a short, sharp shock of a punky sort of single.
Yeah.
And I think we had that one and Palm Trees at the same time.
Yes, that's right. I think they were ready to go, weren't they?
And they were the two songs we'd written for our third album. But it was a case of we wanted to get a single out because we knew we probably wouldn't have time to record a full album. We weren't ready to make another album because we hadn't got all the bits together. So because it takes a long time to as we've gone on, it's got more and more complex to record the band and stuff. So we had those two songs, plus those ones we wanted to re-record. So we had Flint we wanted to re-record, didn't we?
Yeah.
And we had the rehearsal record of Let's Start a Cult.
Yeah.
The Magnet was based around the riff, so that was the first time we used the octave pedal on the riffs as well to create that low super. So that was the first time we tried that sound because it wasn't quite the detuning we used on the Euphoric, but it was certainly indicative that we're moving in that direction, wasn't it?
Yeah, and again, I think that was you'd brought a micropog, Electro Harmonics micropog, and again, I think that played some part in the assembly of that whole track, really, didn't it? Exactly, I remember Stuart being quite a big part of how that all got put together. Well, to be honest with you, all of us. I mean, the top lines that Steve came up with as well. It all kind of fell together. Steve's
guitar playing at the end of Magnet is some of my favourite guitar playing on any Face in the Dead thing. There's those little lines he comes in, there's those little melodies, and I think it's really effective and really cool. Yeah. It's not something I would have thought of because it's really detailed and is really well thought out. And I deal in broad strokes, whereas Steve deals in detail. So I think it's really cool that those parts are in there because it's really Steve and there's very little of me on that. And I think it's really cool that he brought his touch to that.
Yeah, that's a pretty good way of putting it. Yeah, because I seem to remember you'd pretty much got the entire track done, hadn't you?
I had all the bits to it, and then, but I think everyone else brought in their own parts to it and added a lot of detail to it. Whereas I think Palm Trees was like a rehearsal room jam. I think they had all the bits to that, and I think that was another one where I brought in bits to it, and then it got deconstructed to the point it didn't have any of the original bits in it.
Possibly,
which is I think is actually the best way to write Face in the Dead stuff. Is somebody brings something in, and so there's a spark of an idea, and then what comes out is completely different.
Yeah,
I think that's the best stuff we've ever done. I think that's Truck and that's 666 was all written where someone bought it. Well, we had all the bits come in, and then what came out the other end was completely different to the demos and the ideas we had. So
Yeah. No, I agree with that. Yeah, I mean, I can't remember how Palm Trees came into the rehearsal room. In what, like I say, I remember you having a lot of it there. I remember you having like the, if you want to call it the verse and the chorus. We worked quite a bit on the drums for that one. I think the kind of the groove that was going on with it. There was a couple of different versions of it, wasn't there? Because in the second verse, again, if you want to call it that, we go to the riff slightly changes, and that didn't happen for quite a while. So I think we may have even recorded a version of it without the change, where it just repeated round twice.
I can't remember. It was a long time ago. The arrangement's all yours. I don't think I had anything to do with that at all. I think you and Stu worked it all out. Yeah,
quite possibly.
It's very you. It's not me. Because it's got those stops and stuff. No, but it's really good because I don't think of stuff like that. It's got that DJ Shadow thing where you put the parts drop in and drop out. It's really good. But I don't think I would have thought of that. So that's fair. I think you did most of that. I don't think I had anything to do with it.
Quite possibly. Now, I seem to remember that those two tracks, and obviously we re-recorded Flint as well, but those two tracks, I seem to remember that we actually tried recording them first in our rehearsal room.
Where did you do the drums for it then?
Well, we ended up doing the drums again at Farheath. We went back to Farheath. We did, yeah. Me and Stuart went back to Farheath for a day. Because we recorded all the guitars, didn't we, in our rehearsal room? But I think we actually tried recording the drums there as well.
We definitely did, because I remember sitting outside while you were doing it.
That's right, yeah.
You definitely did that.
But for some reason, and I honestly can't, again, this is just two men trying to remember things, the podcast. I honestly can't remember why we didn't use them, but I'm pretty sure that the first version of Palm Trees recorded didn't have that change in the second rotation, and I think there's probably a few other bits. And also as well, in that first recording session, we actually recorded a cover of a track that the band that Stuart was first in played on, Derek's Experiment. So somewhere we've got...
Why didn't we finish that?
We really should, shouldn't we? It's a great song. It's called Sweet Baby Butterflies.
Yeah, we should finish
I think we've got the bass and drums for it somewhere. We really should put that together.
Yeah, we should do that now while we've got a bit of time.
I'll try and find it.
If you can find it, yeah. We should do that. That'd be a good idea.
It's like the A-Team. If you can find it. Yeah.
If you can remember
If you can remember where you left it. If you can remember where you left it, we'll release it. But yeah.
Yeah, if you see if you can find that.
I will do, yeah. But I do remember there was two separate sessions, and then for some reason I wasn't happy. You know what I'm like. I wasn't happy with something or other. And so we went again, and we went back to where we'd recorded Spooky Action. I think we did it all in one day this time, because it would have just been the drums for Magnet, Palm Trees, and Flint. We did the drums all in one day. I'm pretty sure we did. Yes, we did actually. Yeah, definitely did it all in one day. And then we just came back and cracked on with the guitars in our rehearsal room. So they were all recorded there. So it was quite a different way again from Spooky Action, where we did it all in the same place at the same time and overdubbed the guitars there, and it was all done quite quickly. This one took quite a while to put together. Still, happened as quickly as we could make it happen. But yeah, the recording process, we kind of learned that if we weren't happy with something, just stop and go and do it again. Think about it and try and do it again, which is, I think, a lesson we learned after Spooky, definitely, that we wanted to sort of say, right, okay, we have to be, the keepers of our own, quality control or whatever it was. So I know we re-recorded the drums.
I think that's one thing we've learned as we've been doing it longer. You're much better off slowly, methodically working on something. And if it takes, another year for it to come out and it's a better album or a better EP or whatever, I mean, it's frustrating because I want to keep it going. I want to keep stuff coming. I want to, people always ask me when there's new material coming out, but I'd rather just put stuff out when we get a chance to make it really good now.
Absolutely.
Because that legacy of the things we record is, without being too pretentious, that's what you'll be remembered for. So you may as well try and do something that's worthwhile. Because if you are going to be remembered for something, and you have got to look back on it in 20 years' time, you want to be proud of it. And you're not going to be proud of stuff if you've just been knocking it out just for the sake of it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Couldn't agree more.
Now, I mean, we're working on our fourth album at the moment, and we've got enough bits to make probably 2 albums and an EP.
Yeah.
But we won't put all that out, and we'll put out, the stuff that's, of all the things we jam and all the things we record, we probably put out 10%.
Yeah.
And the rest of it's just sat there on drives. And we go back and listen to it. We might take things out of it again. But so, especially in the last couple of years, we've banked a lot of songs and things we've written.
We've been going 10 years now, which by anybody's standards is quite good going, really. And I think we've spoken about in the past why that is. We're still together, and the fact that we're all very good friends and grew up together and all this kind of stuff. But I see a lot of bands that they'll be together 3 or 4 years and then they'll stop. And I wonder if that is partly because maybe they've hit a wall, maybe something like that. But maybe as well they don't necessarily give themselves the time to learn those lessons. And I know a lot of bands who get into like especially when they're signed and things, you get into a rotation, don't you? Where it's like, okay, when's the next one? Well, you've got gigs now, you've got to have the product to sell. And I think that's actually quite bad for creativity.
The trouble is, we've had it ourselves, haven't we? We've had momentum where we've been, we started doing big festivals, and then we did bigger festivals, and then we did, America, and it would have been good to get something released, in the year we went to the States. But, the prep, when we all do other stuff as well, and the preparation to go to America and to make, to do all those big shows, it's very hard to write new material when you're rehearsing for an hour and a half show in America.
Yeah.
It's got to be perfect.
Yeah, exactly.
It's virtually impossible to write new stuff. So I think if you notice, as we've been going on, the amount of material we've actually generated for the band has got less and less.
Yeah.
But that's just because we're doing bigger shows. And one of the good things about the last 2 or 3 months is we've had a chance to go back over the songs we've written in the last 2 or 3 years and say, well, this is good, this isn't so good, and make demos and really arrange them. So it probably means the next Fierce and the Dead album will come out a lot earlier than it would have done otherwise. It won't be 5 years, it'll probably be 2 or 3 years, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's very true. I think as well that also ties into the fact that we redid Flint. So, we've got these 2 tracks, and then we felt like we wanted to sort of do more, and then we came up with the idea of like, well, let's just redo a track that we were never... I think the version on Morecambe is very good, but we're never quite happy with it. And also, we'd learned how to play it a lot better. And because we felt it was a really strong track of ours, we wanted to have a recorded version of it that we were, really happy with. And so we were like, well, let's just do it. We can do that. Nobody's saying we can't do that. And I think that when people heard it, they kind of got why we did re-record it. It's not a massive... reimagining of the track or anything like that. I think it's just a better version of it.
I think it's got some of Stuart's best drumming on it. I think a lot of people have said that people seen Flint, Stu playing, and also having Steve on it's a big deal because obviously,
of course,
I think whilst I'm really proud of the early stuff and that, and there's some really good stuff on there. I think Steve being in the band has made it a lot better. I think the chemistry of the band's a lot better. I think it's really Steve coming in's been really good for me because it's freed me up to do a lot more. And he obviously his attention to detail, melodic playing is really useful as well. He's a really good guitar player, so having him in there is really cool as well. So I like that version of Flint. I think that's, and I think we changed the guitar effects a little bit, didn't we? And made it a little bit more electronic-y sort of thing, didn't we? So. It's a slightly different version, but I think that was really worth doing. So, Kev, tell us about part 6. That's all. That's you, mate. Am I on that? Did I give you a chord sequence for it or something? I don't think I'm on it at all.
Again, 2 men desperately trying to remember what's going on. All I can remember about part 6
honestly,
is...
I don't think I'm on it. I think the one I'm thinking of that had my chord sequence on it was the one that's the B-side of... I can't remember what it's called.
Foreign Languages.
Foreign Languages, yeah. This was constructed in very much a similar way to Foreign Languages, wasn't it?
This was a revision of... It was not a revision, a reprise. The synthesizers from part 1 that we dug out and... No, I didn't dig them out. I reprogrammed them. I put them in again. I replayed them through some new synths, chucked loads of distortion on them again. Stuart, when we went to Far Heath, we'd recorded some abstract drums that we stuck, that kind of stuff on there, bits and even some like little samples and things. And and then just whacked it all together. I think it sounds quite 80s.
Oh, it's got that. It's got those wavy Border Canada synths on it. So
yeah,
I really like it. It's really cool.
Yeah. I think people maybe after listening to these, hopefully getting a bit of a better idea of the sort of what our actual influences are. So, in a EP where you've got old school, power metal track like Magnet, and then something a bit more, I don't know what you'd call Palm Tree.
Tortoise meets Deaf Heaven.
Then you've got Flint, which is again, something else. And then Part 6, which I think is quite electronic-y and things like that. And in my mind, that all works perfectly well together. I don't see any difference between any of that stuff. That's how our minds work. At no point were we going, oh, well, I don't know if we could put this on, or it wasn't like, oh, let's be cool and put an electronic track on the end. It was just normal.
I don't think it's necessarily being willfully eclectic. It's more a failure to pick up on social signals, isn't it?
I couldn't have put it better myself.
So it's not,
which is the name of the next album.
Failure to pick up on, because we don't, because most people go into a little genre box when they start making music, and that's them. But if you miss those, you don't pick up on all that stuff, and you're not bothered about being in with a certain crowd. You're just making music because you like messing about with guitars and playing gigs and having a laugh with it. You do come across with quite an eclectic sound. It's quite a vast difference in the sort of tracks you come up with, because you're literally just doing it because you love doing it. But there is a sort of a link between it all, because we've been playing together so long, and we are collectively failing to go into particular genres, But I think my favourite bands were the ones that did go across genres, like who would do like Pink Floyd or
Faith No More,
or and there's bands will try like Deaf Heaven do now, and Faith No More, and a lot of these bands that we really love. I'm going to mention Celtic Frost can't believe we've got this far in without me talking about Tom G Warrior, but the bands that we love are bands that are willfully eclectic, because they're always trying new things rather than just going, let's make another prog sludge metal album, or just doing the same old stuff again, because we do it because we love doing it, and because we like hanging out with our friends in a rehearsal room doing the music. So it is all over the place a bit genre wise, but we do it because we love it. That's the way it works.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It's exactly right. Yeah. And yeah, I think a lot of the bands, exactly as you were saying, that we were into, Faith No More is a great example. They'll do some, pretty full on kind of, track with like death metal screaming on it, and then the next track will be a calypso, and everybody just goes, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
It's amazing, isn't it? We've played some festivals in the past, not just festivals, gigs as well, that have been quite genre strict. They've been very much, they've been based around a certain type of music, that be that, I don't know, a math rock festival or a stoner festival or something like that. And in whatever it is, whether it be a prog festival or even a hardcore punk thing, gig or anything like that, you always get the purists, the people who are like, well, it's not that. So what, you shouldn't be here because you're not that. And I find that just bizarre, just a weird way of looking at music.
It is weird. I think people want to go, well, this is, put things into boxes, don't they? But I always thought the best bands are the ones that sort of evolved and, try different things with each album and try to do interesting things with it, because that's that's how you get the results. You don't get the commercial results because people don't know what it is, but they'll hopefully, people look back very kindly on King Crimson or Celtic Frost now, but at the time they weren't particularly well thought of, because people didn't get it. People didn't get what they were doing until later on. Yeah. And, I'm not comparing what we do to bands like that, but I'm saying that what you say is you're better off going down in a blaze of flames trying to do something interesting than trying to do something that's going to please a few beardy blokes in their mum's basements. So,
That's where all the money is, Matt, beardy blokes.
I think so, yeah. That's where we went wrong.
The beard pound.
Huh. What's the last song on it, Kev?
So yeah, this is a good opportunity to tell people about this little debacle. So to add a bit of value, we chucked on there. We called it a rehearsal recording, but of the track Chief. But what it actually was we decided to do, because we're modern thinkers, we decided to do some live videos for their YouTube to be used on social media, as I believe the kids call it. And I'd worked with a band called Duke Spirit, who are great and well worth checking out. In fact, Leela, the singer's just got a new album coming out. Leela Moss, go and check out her stuff. She's on Bella Union. It's amazing. Anyway, I'd recorded some live recordings for them, and we thought we'd do the same sort of thing, and to be filmed at the same time. So we went to a place in Hackney, which was called the New Empowering Church. It wasn't a church. I'm not quite sure how empowering it was, but it was a really cool warehouse space. We set up all the kit in there. Our good friend Ash Jones, he of most of our photos, came down, brought all his camera equipment, hung cameras around here, there and everywhere. Me being the audio engineer, I'd organised to hire in loads of recording equipment. So we were all fully mic'd up. And then the idea was to run through a set of, I can't remember how many songs it was now, 6 or 7 songs, do 2 or 3 takes of each, and then pick the best ones and cut them up into little videos, cool little live videos we can put on YouTube. What actually happened was the recording equipment completely failed. And are you remembering this, Matt? Are you starting to sweat just thinking about it? We had to be out of the building, cleared up, not a single cable left, by something I don't know what it was, 6 p.m. or something. And we phoned the hire company where the faulty equipment had been hired from, and they said, yes, we can send you out some new equipment. It's in a taxi. That took about 2.5 hours to get over to us. Long story short, by the time we managed to get everything up and running, we actually only had enough time to literally go through every track once. So if anybody watches that stuff on YouTube, our rehearsal recordings, I think they're called, we're all smiling, but on the inside, you can just sense the panic.
Well, we only got to, I think we did 3 songs. We got to do them once each.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. And for those eagle-eyed viewers out there as well, you might be able to spot the magnificent figure of David Elliott loitering in the background on those videos, like some sort of a internet myth. People start pausing it and looking for him now. Yeah,
at this point, we should probably say thank you very much to David and Bad Elephant for putting that EP out. They were lovely guys, Martin and David and all that, and James, and they're just the most lovely people, and we're very grateful for their support.
I mean, this actually leads into something else that David's been amazing about. So we put the CD together, and off we went and released it, and it went very well. Then we were contacted by a lovely gentleman from Newcastle who had a small company called Crate Digger Records. It was basically a record shop, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But they also released vinyl on behalf of bands. And is it Adam?
Yeah.
Yeah, Adam from Crate Digger. Yeah, he contacted us and said, I'd love to put this EP out on vinyl for you. And we were like, that's amazing. We spoke to David, asked David if we could offer a license to this guy to be able to do a limited run of vinyl. And David said, yes, of course, because 90% of the time, that's what David says.
He was lovely, yeah. And that was really great that we managed to get it on vinyl. And that's the first time we worked with our friend Mark Buckingham.
We wanted to do something really cool for the vinyl, and we'd thought of different ideas. I mean, we'd come up with a very striking image of the logo that's now kind of become our thing. I would tell you what it's about, but I'm not going to. So the 4 bars and 3 dots. So we had this very striking image on the front, and we really liked that. And then we thought, what should we do for the vinyl? We want to do something really cool, really special. And Adam actually suggested that you can screen print on one side of the vinyl. So all of the music's only on one side, and then on the other side you have a screen print. Now, you'd made friends with the very talented Mark Buckingham, who's for those who don't know, he's a comic book artist. He's worked for DC and Marvel, and what else has he done, Matt?
He's probably best known for Miracle Man and Fables, which is the Miracle Man's the collaboration with Neil Gaiman.
Yes.
And Fables is with Bill. I can't remember the guy's name. Bill something.
Yeah, I can't remember. Yeah.
but yeah, Fables was a massive comic in America. Miracle Man is kind of a legendary comic amongst the underground sort of UK scene, because it was taken over. It took over from Alan Moore. Alan Moore's run on it.
Yeah.
So in terms of sort of the comic world, he's a massive name, and he's a bit, he goes to conventions and people queue out the door to get him to sign things. So
yeah. How did you meet him?
Through a prog forum. I just said I'd love to do a gig in a comic shop, and Mark said, "Do you want to come do one with me?" All right.
Oh, that's right. You did that gig together with him, didn't you? Was it a launch of one of his comics or something?
And just such a lovely guy, and absolute pleasure to hang out with. And I'm a massive fan of his as a person, as an artist. So just to get the opportunity to hang out with someone like that was just fantastic. So and we Summer's End, basically, we played Summer's End Festival, and he came up with a little pen and paper and sketched it all out in the car park in Summer's End. It was amazing.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah,
it was just like, this is just not real. This guy's ridiculously talented, and he's lovely as well. Yeah, that's how then the vinyl came out. I think it was start of 2016, something like that.
Yeah, sounds about right.
That,
yeah.
So
I mean, if anybody's got the vinyl, it's probably going to end up being worth more money than it is based on our music. It's going to be worth more money based on Mark's amazing artwork on it. Yeah, I think we've still got a few vinyl left somewhere as well.
At time of speaking, I think there's a few vinyl in the Bad Elephant store, but not many. And once they're gone, they're gone. But that's another one that's been proved quite popular. So if anyone wants it, get in now. Yeah, I'll put a link in the show notes for the podcast.
So it, all in all, it turned into something that really signified, the whole EP signified a pretty, I don't know, like a step up for us. It felt like, and also the gigs we were getting. Suddenly we were playing bigger festivals again. I know every time we've kind of stepped up ever so slightly. We're never playing at Donington or anything like that yet. But we're always stepping up slightly. And again, this one, we had this EP. We went out and did some really good gigs.
Yeah, we did Arctangent, Summer's End, Celebrate with Anathema. We opened for Anathema, and there was a big show. There was a few hundred people there. I think we got confident playing in front of sort of 200 or 300 people, and then got confident playing up to 1,000 people. Yeah. And then when the vinyl came out for this one, it's when we got Ramblin' Man, wasn't it?
Yes, that's right. Yeah. Out of nowhere.
And a lot of the time, one of the festivals we did that a lot of people first saw us at was Ramblin' Man, which is like sort of classic rock type festival. But they have bands like Clutch play now. Yeah. And
the one we played at was headlined by Whitesnake.
Whitesnake headlined one stage, and the stage we were on was headlined. It's where we met Hawkwind.
Oh yeah, we met Hawkwind. Yeah.
So we got in. We were very excited meeting Hawkwind. It was like, because we grew up on Hawkwind, like Levitation's one of my favourite albums. Yeah. We were really into Monster Magnet, and they covered Hawkwind. So, we'll talk about a little bit about Ramblin' Man. Ramblin' Man was this festival we did. We were the first band on, and you'd have thought it would have been one of these gigs where, no one was watching us. And but what happened was that everybody was watching us. I think the capacity of it's like 5,000 people. But we played in this field, and it was absolutely rammed full of people. So we were on at, I think, 11 o'clock, was it, Kev?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, it was relatively early. Yeah, it was relatively early. I can't remember exactly what time it was. But
when we were booked for it, I thought, well, it was nice to have a name on the bill, but there won't be anyone watching us because it's a massive festival. But what happened was everybody seemed to be there, and there was no other festival. Normally it's a 3 stages running normally, but there was no one else on. So everyone had to watch us, and it was unbelievable.
And by God, we pulled it off.
We went down really well.
Yes, yeah.
And I remember that day standing at the side of the stage with my friend Graham and Tim, and the sun was coming down. Hawkwind were doing Silver Machine, and I just thought, well, we're done now. This is as good as you can possibly get. Yeah. And but then someone said to us, well, how do you fancy America next? And so that's where we'll carry on the story next time, I think.
We can't believe it either.
You tell the story, and we sound like guileless lottery winners, befuddled fools, accidentally winning a series of competitions. but actually, it was it all seemed to work sort of one stage at a time to grow this audience. It was just bizarre. But just each thing we did, like Summer's End and Art Tangent, led to Rambling Man led to America, and then it was. But anyway, we'll carry on next time.
We shall, we shall indeed, yeah. So what you got planned for the next week, Matt?
I'm going to try and make these pedals work. I've got a big pile of effects pedals, and I'm trying to make them all work. So
nice.
I'm trying to get these 2 H9s to work, and then just finishing off these demos for the Fierce and the Dead album. So
brilliant. Yeah,
it's all go. What about you, Kevin? What are you up to?
Just thinking about. I had a dream the other night, and in the dream, I went out and met some people. That's how bad it's got.
Yeah, it's difficult times, isn't it?
It's very weird. It's very weird. Yeah.
And I think for the to try and preserve your mental health, you have to try and limit the intake of information. It's a really weird time, but
Yeah, it is indeed.
Anyway, take care, everybody, and thank you for listening.
What's the password, Matt?
We'll call it Pedal Power.
Pedal Power. You can tell Matt's sitting in front of a table full of pedals. There you go. Right, brilliant. We'll see you next time then. Take care.
Thank you very much. Take care, guys. Bye.